name's Natasha Lyons, and I'm a 7th and 8th grade math teacher in the rural western part of North Carolina. I've been teaching 7th and 8th grade math for, this is my 8th year, and I've been in the same school, same classroom the entire time. So I've got to really know the community that I work in, and really excited that we're actually getting a new school soon, so woohoo! I was introduced to Desmos my first year or two of teaching, and when I was first introduced to it, it was just the calculator. And I'll kind of admit at the time I was like a TI loyalist, and I was intimidated by Desmos in general. You know, as a brand new teacher, I was just trying to get on my bearings. But the more I started to learn about Desmos and the calculator, and then I started using the activities, and I started creating my own activities, and then I got to be part of the Desmos pilot program for my district last year in hopes that maybe my district will adopt the Desmos Classroom curriculum resource. So fingers crossed, I'm doing my best because I really believe in everything that this curriculum and this platform has allowed my students to do and how it has made it accessible to all of my students. So it was really hard to pick just one feature. So I'm going to talk about a couple of features, but I'm really going to highlight on, I think, what is my favorite, because it truly breaks down a lot of the barriers of what I see a lot of my students face. And I mean, I don't have to explain to you guys that math as a student is hard, and I don't think it needs to be. And I think there's so many outside factors to what students are told that is supposed to be, you know, oh, I'm not a math person, or oh, math is so hard. And the societal norms is something that I try to break down in my classroom all the time. And it never fails that I still have my students that are really shy, my students that feel like they're not good at math, and my students that they really know it, but they're afraid of being wrong. So kind of what my favorite feature is of the Desmos platform is the anonymized feature. I have it turned on here because this is my real dashboard for my classroom, and so I don't want to show any identifying student information. But in the same way that I don't want to show you guys that identifying student information, I don't want my students to know who is saying what. But I do like the little smirk and smiles that I see when their answer pops up on the screen is one that I'm going to highlight, which is super cool. I actually have students that request, and my one student, she cracks me up every time I use Desmos. She goes, "Can you make us the famous mathematicians?" Because the first time I said it's making you notable mathematician, she thought I said mathemagician. So now it's just like this running joke in my classroom for the past 2 years because I loop with my kids, so it's been really cool. Anyway, so anonymizing them allows students to not know who in their classes said what. And when we do different polygraphs, it makes sure that they don't know who they're paired with. So I did this activity with my kids. This is probably one of my favorites next to the taco truck, because who doesn't love a taco truck activity, you know? And if you don't know, you need to know. But if you know, you know. So I will anonymize my kids. I really like the pacing feature. But the biggest part of why the anonymized feature is so awesome is when you have the different student screens. And this is, you know, I notice, I wonder, trying to get kids to do some math talk. So I will have the kids watch this, and then they'll have to write in, you know, complete sentences, finish the sentence. Here are your sentence starters. I need you to tell me something that you notice and something that you wonder. And by the point that I have my students in 8th grade, I've kind of trained them to know how to talk about math. But if students are not used to talking about math in a way where they kind of just get to point out things that they notice, things that they might wonder about, and start having that math talk and that math conversation, these are really low stakes, easy ways to get students to talk. So my students will answer these questions. I notice, I wonder, and I tell them, I just want you, what if I don't notice anything? What if I don't wonder anything? You gotta notice something and you gotta wonder something, because you guys always ask questions. So once I kind of see my students answering them here, I'll pick, 4 to highlight through a snapshot. And when I project this onto our screen, obviously the kids don't know who said what, but they also don't know who said what here either. So when I project it on the screen, I usually read out them. I notice every cup is the same amount of water, 9 cups. I notice as the girl's filling up the cups of water, the water in the cooler is going down. I notice she's filling cups with water very quickly. I notice she's filling up water and the tub goes down but slowly. So all of these things, this kind of bottom left one in particular, I would highlight with my students. Oh, well, this one talks about going down, and so does this one. The tub is going down. She's filling up water. Ooh, 9 cups. Okay, so now we have that quantitative feature. And the kids get so excited when they see their answers. And some of them will be like, oh, yeah, Miss Science, that one's mine. And others have that just quiet little smirk that I see because I know who I've picked. And it's just really cool. Then I wonder why the girl needs that much water. How much she took. How many cups it will take to empty the cooler. We have some gracious middle schoolers, okay? I wonder how much in measurements it's going down per cup. I wonder how long it will take to get empty. And so I picked these ones very strategically to talk to my kids about these different things that they're wondering, because the whole point of this activity is to start to introduce the negative slope concept. So I like to show these, but then I like to also show ones that are a little bit sillier, but there's still things that they're noticing and there's still things that they're wondering. I'm still getting them to think and talk about math. This one, I really liked this one. I wonder if there's as many cups as people on the soccer team. And I really like that one because I talked about how do you know it's a soccer team? Using the context clues of what's in the image around that student. So I think it's just such a powerful tool to anonymize the kids, project those answers using the snapshots, and anonymizing it allows those kids that are typically quiet, typically students that don't want to speak out, students that are afraid of being wrong. I try very purposefully to see what their responses are, and I want to highlight and I want to encourage them. But it also gives me that avenue as I have this pulled up, because I carry around an iPad through my classroom, my personal iPad. So I can see kind of what they're answering as they're going through the different slides, depending on how I've paced them. And then I can go straight over to them and be like, okay, like for this student, I can say, well, you got to notice something. Like, what do you notice? And it might be a conversation with this student that he's not a strong writer, and we can kind of talk it out together. But it also just allows me to say, hey, I'm going to highlight yours, just to give them a heads up, because I do have some students that are very self-conscious about their responses. So I really love this feature of being able to anonymize kids, but then also the very purposeful ways that you can ask students questions and get them really talking about math in a way that they probably don't feel like they can do it. So many times I hear that, oh, well, only the advanced kids can talk about it this way, or only the advanced kids notice this. No, there is no advanced, there is no regular, there is no smart, there is no dumb class. All students are capable of learning, and through this anonymized feature, it gives kids the ability to freely think about and express their opinion without fear of being picked on or ridiculed or something like that, which through this platform has then allowed me to do that in my classroom in general. It's helped me to create and foster that whole growth mindset, that whole, there is no smart, there is no dumb, and that whole, I want to hear your opinion, I want to hear your answer. Even if it's wrong, we're going to go with it. And it's created an atmosphere in my classroom that students feel like it's a safe place to talk about math and to talk about what they know. So I know that was kind of long-winded and kind of all over the place, but I'm really passionate about bringing math talks and showing kids that they're all capable of doing the things that so many of them in their past has told them that they can't do. And I've sat in professional developments, and I've sat in meetings, and I've sat in all of these things where it's like, oh yeah, well, my advanced kids can do that, but this goes over my low kids' heads. There is no low kids. There is no advanced kids. They're kids. They're mathematicians. No matter what level they're at, they're still capable of thinking about it at a high level, and they're still capable of giving their opinions, and their answers, and the things that they know, and the things that they want to talk about, and the patterns that they see is so important to recognize, especially in students that are a little shyer in the math class. And through the anonymize, through the snapshots, through the very purposeful questions that Desmos allows to ask, and that I can paste them before they can kind of jump to any other conclusions, is awesome. I can keep talking more and more and more, but now I just feel like I'm going to start talking in circles. So I'm going to stop it here. But I just want to say also, thank you guys so much for opening back up this Desmos Fellowship. I've been so excited for it to come back, and I share Desmos with every math pal that I see, and I try to get everybody excited, and I try to show them what Desmos can really do, and just how awesome it is. So I'm really glad that you guys brought this back, and thank you so much for the opportunity, and I look forward to hearing back from you guys. But in the meantime, I hope you have a good day. Bye, friends.